Christian Horner is finally fired from Red Bull and will be replaced by Laurent Mekies, effective immediately. And tell you what, this decision was a long time coming. It was long overdue. He should have been fired from the 2023 Formula One season to minimize the damage. And in this video, I will explain why he deserved to get fired like this. And also, we need to have a little bit of conversation about Max Verstappen's future in Mercedes and George Russell's future in Formula One. But first, we need to finish the story of why Christian Horner deserved to get fired from Red Bull in 2023. Sergio Perez says that in 2023, the team started with a good car that was good for both of the drivers. And as the season progressed, in Spain, they bought some upgrades and the car became very complicated. Adrian Newey, the best aero designer in Formula One, agrees with this. He said that towards the end of 2023, the car was starting to become more difficult to drive. Max could handle it, Checo couldn't. That's why there was a discrepancy in performance between Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez in 2023. So your second driver is consistently complaining that the car is a shitbox, so much so that Toto Wolff believed him and had a printout. And the best engineer of all time is also saying this. He pointed out these early warning signs that the Red Bull's performance is dipping. And to top it all off, key people like Rob Marshall, this guy was the chief engineer in Red Bull. He left Red Bull to go to McLaren. Then Will Courtenay, this guy was doing something very important in Red Bull. I forgot what he was doing. I think he was the sporting director or some shit. He also left McLaren. He hasn't joined McLaren yet, but his departure was announced in 2023. And when all of these key issues were happening and drivers were complaining and important people were leaving the team and the performance was dropping and the best aero engineer has dropped some early warning signs and the number 2 driver was consistently complaining about the performance of the car, Christian Horner was busy having WhatsApp conversations with a female colleague, and it was borderline harassment. We will never know the true story, but this is what was Christian Horner's main priority was during the 2023 Formula One season. And Jos Verstappen said a very important thing. There is tension here while he remains in his position. The team is in danger of being torn apart. It can't go on the way it is. It will explode. Over time, as the video goes on, you will know that these words are prophetic. But for now, this all was happening in 2023. So to give you a picture, the second driver was complaining. Newey said that the car is about to become a shitbox. Main important people were leaving the team to McLaren, who are now dominating in the World Championships, and Christian Horner was busy listening to his dick. And you may be wondering, how did Max Verstappen win so much in that year? How did Max Verstappen break records in that year? Well, the reasoning is very simple. What Red Bull did was, in order to mask the weaknesses of the car, they used extreme setup changes. They used setup to mask the weaknesses of the Red Bull, which only Max Verstappen could drive because he's the second coming of Jesus Christ, and that's why he kept on winning, and that's why Christian Horner was busy doing all of this. Because on paper, it is like, well, one driver is dominating and another driver is struggling to get out of Q1. I guess the truth is somewhere in the middle. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send dick pics to my female colleague and try to hump her. So that's basically what was going on throughout the 2023 season, and all of the internal issues like the key people leaving, Adrian Newey's complaints falling on deaf ears, and Sergio Perez's complaints being ignored while all of this was happening. That's why he was enjoying this. And then came the 2024 Formula One season, which started really well. Max Verstappen won a lot of the races in the initial phases, and again Sergio Perez was a little bit competitive in the initial phase and then he dropped off, and then we all thought that it was going to be like 2023 all over again. Perez is going to struggle throughout the season and Max Verstappen will dominate the entire season and Red Bull will enjoy this. But no, that didn't happen. In the second half of the season, Max Verstappen didn't win that much at all. The competitors, McLaren's and Ferrari in particular, they leveled up and they posed a stronger competition as compared to Red Bull. And while Max Verstappen still became the world champion in the 2024 Formula One season, Red Bull slipped to P3 in the constructor standings. And this is starting the warning signals. On top of this, there were other problems in 2024 as well. I mean, Christian Horner successfully defeated the allegations, but sporting director Jonathan Whitley left, and finally, the best aero engineer of all time, Adrian Newey's departure was announced. He was ready to leave Red Bull. All of his concerns, and he mentioned it, he explained it, he talked about this, and that carried into the first part of 2024. So whatever they did in 2023, which was to use setup to mask the problems of the car, that carried into the first part of 2024. And this is the time in which he left. He left just before the 2024 Miami Grand Prix. That was the race that Lando Norris won, his first ever win. And he started to become concerned with the direction of development, but not many other people in the organization seem to be very concerned about it. So, 2024 happens, Max Verstappen clings on to the Drivers' Championship, Red Bull slips to P3 in the constructor standings, Jonathan Whitley leaves to go to Sauber, Adrian Newey leaves to go to Aston Martin, and the pressure on Christian Horner increases. However, because Max Verstappen won the World Championship, he still had the benefit of doubt of saying that, you know what, the car is good, but the driver is shit. So for the 2025 Formula One season, they fired Sergio Perez and replaced him with Liam Lawson. This man looks like he has aged 15 years, but trust me, he has only driven that Red Bull for 2 races. And after the Liam Lawson experiment has failed, they replaced him with Yuki Tsunoda. Now at this point, it was very evident that it's a car problem and not a driver problem. So before the Japanese Grand Prix, where Yuki Tsunoda was set to replace Liam Lawson, the journalists went over to Paul Monahan, the chief engineer of Red Bull, and asked them, hey, your car is a shitbox, it's difficult to drive, it has ruined the careers of many drivers. What do you plan to do to fix its nervousness, its twitchiness? And Paul Monahan, this is what he said. So how quick your car is or how nervous your car is, perhaps you will say that it's relative. I bet there are 18 other twitchy cars in this pit lane that all of us, myself probably the most, would find really quite difficult to drive. This is the answer that reflects the delusion of the top decision makers in Red Bull, including Christian Horner. Because for years, they have been using extreme setup to mask the problems of the car. And right now, after many drivers have failed, we are talking Sergio Perez, we are talking Liam Lawson, and definitely Yuki Tsunoda. I mean, that was Yuki Tsunoda's first race. It was Japanese Grand Prix where Yuki Tsunoda debuted for Red Bull. And this guy, instead of head-on tackling the problem and accepting that they fucked up, it's all relative. And by this time, shit has already hit the fan. Because Jonathan Whitley has left, Adrian Newey has left, Rob Marshall has left, and the departure of Will Courtney has been announced. And all Paul Monahan can say about the lack of the performance of the car is that it is relative. Then comes the 2025 Austrian Grand Prix, which was very frustrating for Red Bull because Max Verstappen was taken out on the first lap of the race, and Yuki Tsunoda finished dead last with a 10-second time penalty. And this is what Christian Horner had to say. It isn't an easy car to drive, but it's not that difficult either. That's what he said. And the worst part is Mark Matesic, the CEO of Red Bull, or like the director of Red Bull, like the main guy of Red Bull, was present in the Red Bull ring during that disastrous weekend where Yuki Tsunoda finished last and Max Verstappen was taken out first. And Mark said to the media that their first priority is to keep Max Verstappen in the team. So the top dog of Red Bull has arrived. He is now personally seeing how the team is functioning, and it was a shit performance, and that's why Christian Horner was particularly stressed after the Austrian Grand Prix, because he definitely gave him some kind of ultimatum that fix your issues or you're out. And you know what they did? They did the same thing again. They went to Silverstone, which was the next race after Austria, and they masked the weaknesses of the car by setup changes. They put Monza spec in Silverstone because that way the car will at least be a rocket ship in the straights, and whatever time they will lose in the corners, they will make it up in the straights. And Max Verstappen is there, right? So basically, Red Bull's strategy is to make the extreme setup that masks the weaknesses of the car, and then Max Verstappen will handle the rest. And it almost worked for them because Max Verstappen put this car on pole, phenomenal lap. But on race day, it was raining, and even without the rain, the Red Bull showed its true colors. Max Verstappen was pissed the fuck off. I created another detailed video about this. Go ahead and check it out. And Max Verstappen was pissed off and he was confused that the Red Bull had no pace. And finally, the ultimatum from Mark Massajic. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I couldn't be bothered. But Mark's ultimatum that finally came to fruition. And when Max Verstappen started complaining and saying that the car is undrivable, buddy, it is undrivable. And then finally, writings on the wall, Christian Horner out, Laurent Mekies in. I used to think that only drivers from the junior team will come to Red Bull, but it seems like it's true for team principals as well. Either way, Christian Horner is out. I don't know how much we will hear from him. We will listen from Max Verstappen because I really want to know his future. Because Red Bull is a broken house right now. The top dogs have left. I just showed you who are the most important people who have left, and the teams that they have gone to, those teams looking like they're on the right path. So Max Verstappen definitely needs to make a call right now. Things in Red Bull now will get significantly worse before they start getting better. He needs to make a smart decision. Fuck the haters. Screw what people say. Go to Mercedes because at least they have their things in order. If Mercedes shows up with a bad car, you can trust them that they will fix it. They have the stability, they have the system. The top dogs, Toto Wolff is never going to do some shit like this. He is too disciplined. He is an Austrian. And as you know, Austrian people only care about finishing races. So, Max Verstappen needs to go to Mercedes. We will think about George Russell. He'll probably go to Aston Martin or some shit. Who cares about the Milky Bar Latte? We care about the 4-time world champion, the second coming of Jesus Christ. He needs to go to Mercedes because Red Bull right now is a broken house. Rob is gone, then Will is gone, then Jonathan is gone, Newey is gone. And things are not just looking good, man. It's just facts. And these guys are coming up with all of the smart ass solutions, and they're hiding the weaknesses of the car through setup changes rather than digging deep and fixing the issues. And these issues have persisted for years at this point. Many drivers have lost their confidence and pride and self-respect by driving this piece of shit car Red Bull. So thank God that Christian Horner is fired. Good riddance. Max Verstappen needs to go to Mercedes. We don't care about George Russell. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.